video, we are talking about arc length and sector area. So our learning target today is I can find arc length and sector area of circles. Please write down the date that you're watching this video for your own records. Write down what you already know. So you already know about area of circles. You know a lot about circles themselves, so you can write about that. Then we have two vocab words today. The first one is arc. An arc is a part of the circumference of the circle. And then a sector is a pie slice part of a circle. So pause the video here, write all that down, and then restart when you're ready to go. So this picture here shows up how we're going to be finding arc length and sector area. And it's going to be with a proportion. So the arc of a circle is a piece of the circumference. And then a sector is sort of this pie-shaped area made when we put a dot in the center and then draw lines out to the circumference. So here we can see the picture where we have the arc on the edge. That's like the crust of a piece of pie. And then the sector is the rest of the pie, the filling of the pie. So to find the area of a sector, or the length of the crust, we use a proportion. And the proportion that I like better, there's a few different ones, but the one I like here is the degrees of the part of the circle over the total degrees, which sometimes could be written as degrees over the total degrees is always going to be 360. And then on the other side, we'll either have the circumference or area of the part. So this will be either our arc length or our sector area over either the circumference or the area of the whole. So actually, I'm going to rewrite this as the arc length or the sector area. So if we're finding arc length, then we'll use circumference. And if we're finding sector area, then we'll use the area of a circle. Because the arc length is a part of the circumference, and the sector area is a part of the area. And we're always looking at this in comparison to how many degrees the sector is out of the total 360 degrees of the circle. So that's what we're always going to be doing. So let's come down here and look at our first problem, and I'm going to keep that proportion up there. So we can look at this first one here. Here we have a sector, and I see that I have this 63 degrees right there. So if I want to find the arc length, we're going to start by setting up a proportion. So on the left side of my proportion, I know I need to have the degrees over 360. So 360 always goes over here. And then the degrees that I highlighted red, that's 63. Now, the first part of this problem, I'm finding the arc length. That's my unknown. So for the bottom right, I need to find the circumference. I know that the circumference equals pi times the diameter. Well, pi, we'll use 3.14. And then the diameter, well, I see over here that the radius is 10 centimeters. So if the radius is 10 centimeters, that means the diameter is 20 centimeters. So 3.14 times 20 will be my circumference. If I do that on my calculator, I get 62.8. So that is what goes over here. Now, all I'm going to do to find x is I'm going to divide 62.8 divided by 360, and then take my answer and multiply it by 63. So 62.8 divided by 360 times 63. That gives me 10.99. So my arc length is 10.99 centimeters. I can do the same thing to find the area of the sector. But this time, looking up at my formula before, instead of what I highlighted in yellow with arc length and sector area, or in circumference, I'll use sector area and the area of the circle. So for area of the sector, once again, I set up a proportion. My degrees are still 63, and the total degrees of a circle are still 360. But to find the area of a sector, instead of putting the circumference on the bottom, I need to find the area of this whole circle. So the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared, or 3.14 times 10 squared, which is 314. We can put that there. So my area of the sector is now my x. And I can use the same exact idea. We'll divide 314 divided by 360, and then multiply that answer by 63. 314 divided by 360 times 63 gives me 54.95. And that is my answer. So for both of these, the left side of my equation was exactly the same. 63 over 360. That is the degrees that are in my little wedge of the circle over 360. The right side is where things look different. I have to have the circumference of the whole circle if I'm doing arc length, because arc length is part of the circumference. And I have to have the area of the whole circle if I'm doing sector area, because the sector is part of the area of the circle. So we're going to do another one here. So I would recommend that you try to pause the video here, see if you can solve this problem on your own, and then restart the video and check your work when you're done. Okay, so hopefully you have tried this problem at this point and are checking your work, but if not, that's okay too. So we're going to start with the arc length. So as always, we're going to set up my proportion. So for my proportion, of course, 360 goes over here. And then I can see that my degrees here is 150. So 150 goes on top. Now to find arc length, the bottom right is going to be the circumference. So the circumference of the circle is pi times the diameter. 3.14 times, I see a radius of 13. That means my diameter is 26. 3.14 times 26 on my calculator equals 81.64. That's my circumference. So my arc length will be x right there. Now to solve the proportion. Just like in the past, we can divide, so we can multiply. On my calculator, I do 81.64 divided by 360 times 150. I get x equals 34.02. So my arc length is 34.02 inches. Now we can move on to area of the sector. For area of the sector, I have 150 over 360. just like before. My degrees over 360 is always the left side. This time for the right side, the bottom, I need the area of the circle. So for the area, that's pi times the radius squared. The radius is 13, so I'll do 3.14 times 13 squared. Doing that on my calculator, I get 530.66. So that is what goes on the bottom. So now I can do 530.66 divided by 360 times 150. And solve my proportion, just as I have been doing. That gives me 221.11, because I'm rounding to hundredths. So my area of my sector is 221.11. For our last problem here, we're going to be finding the arc length and the sector area again. So one more time, I would like you to try to find these on your own, and then restart the video when you have your answers and check your work. One thing that'll let you know about these is that when you're solving them, for example, up above, if you are really close, for example, if you got 34.03 or 34.01 for your arc length, you probably just rounded differently somewhere in the problem. So one thing I'll let you know is that if you solve the problems in the homework and you're getting them wrong, the first thing you should do is email me and ask me to look and check so that I can go see if it is just a small rounding difference and not you actually getting them wrong. So first of all, please make sure you're doing that, not just getting confused and stressing yourselves out. Okay, so now we can go on and solve this problem. Here, my sector area is 310, or my sector degrees are 310. So setting up my proportion, my degrees is 310 over 360. So for the arc length, I put my X there. And we are going to start with the arc length. So I need to find the circumference. The circumference is pi times the diameter, 3.14 times the radius is 12. That means the diameter is 24. If I do 3.14 times 24, I get 75.36. Again, we can divide so that we can multiply. 75.36 divided by 360 times 310 gives me 64.89. So my arc length is 64.89. For your check for this video, I would like you to find the area of the sector. So remember, we'll still have 310 over 360. Your unknown will be here. You'll need to find the area of the circle for down there. So start by finding the area of the circle using pi r squared. Use 3.14 for pi. Your radius is 12. So first find the area of that circle. Put it in for the area of your proportion. Find your answer, and that will be your check for this video. Again, remember on your homework problems, you're going to need to set up this proportion. Please be careful with your decimal points. Make sure you're rounding to hundredths and using 3.14 for pi. And again, if you're getting problems wrong and you're not sure why, please email me so I can look and see if it's because of rounding differences. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much and have a great day.